About it because we don't have it down there. I got two, so that's better. That's better. My mama always said, you don't read shit. You just, I grabbed some diet. I just saw the cherries. Anything with cherry on it, I go crazy. So there's some black cherry, and I grabbed it, and when I got out the store, and I tasted, I'm like, hey, hold on. Right. That's that diet stuff. And they talk about this stuff here's a killer. Yeah, that aspartame, what they call that stuff?
Aspartame.
Aspartame or something like that? Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, but I'm famous for that. Just looking at the first thing, so that's good. One thing about it, last night, the lecture was going to be about, what was the name of the lecture?
The ancient Orisha Olmec.
Olmec thing, and I didn't get you do the Olmec, So I said, you have to change that, because I don't know about it, get the tape and take it home, and we wait for the Olmec stuff, and it never show up. And stuff. So we're going to do the Olmec thing. It's a real short piece, that's why I left it at the end. We're going to do that right now. Beautiful. To try to understand, to explain what this thing is about, because it's breaking a major mystery of the Olmec. So we're going to do that. So, and I'm glad I got the water, because you got that aftertaste in your mouth with that stuff there. But I don't know why it was. I think from the last 20-something years, anything with cherries. Whatever cherry I buy it, I don't care what it is, And then come to find out when they started actually making coming out with the sour cherry syrup, and they explained that the sour cherries was high in melatonin, which is melanin. The melatonin mysteries happened after the melanin conferences started in the late 80s. Then the Europeans started calling it melatonin. The pre-melanin conferences, the Europeans was calling it melanin. You see, Gabriel Cousins, one of the guys that does the tachyon energy, he had a book called A Rainbow Diet that came out like in the 80s. Spiritual Rainbow Diet and the Spiritual Nutrition, I think is the name of it. And he talks about the whole melanin thing because he mentioned something, and it might still be online. There's a thing called the Mind-Brain Bulletin. The Mind-Brain Bulletin. And it was a group of white scientists that came together in the early 80s to start talking about melanin. And they mentioned in there, he who has melanin is God. These white scientists. See that? And it was all this melanin stuff up until like, what was the first melanin conference? Like 87 or something like that? And then after the melanin conference started, by 1990, they started coming with the whole melatonin thing. And it was interesting here because like I even said on the blog talk, we know now that the precursors in the precursor, I don't want to say precursor, what we would call the original launching of crack cocaine had melatonin in it. You see, that's why it devastated black people. And so so somebody that's cooking up their cocaine, they'll go, I don't know about no melanin and stuff like that. But what you don't realize is, by the time it got to the people, even with black people that was cooking cooking up the rocks and stuff, it was already prepackaged or what have you when the government brought it in. You see, when the government brought it in, we talk about how McDonald's down in Atlanta, one down in 5 Points. 5 Points is our, if you ever want to see some black people behaving a certain way, you go down to 5 Points in Atlanta. Them niggas walk around with green weave and shit on and acting like a fool. But they got a McDonald's right behind it. And the brother hit me to it, and he said that, he said, I went down and got a fish sandwich at that McDonald's, and my lips got numb. He said, now, anybody know anything about cocaine? It numbs your lips. And so, apparently they was putting it in all, even the burgers or whatever. But somehow the fish sandwich, because the burgers could mask it, but the fish sandwich and stuff, it couldn't mask it, so your lips would get numb. So it's ironic. He told me that in the late 90s. When Linda came, a queen, we was we went to a famous McDonald's, one of the first black-owned McDonald's on Cascade, and we got a fish sandwich. We sitting there eating it, and sure enough, I thought this was some stuff with the one behind Five Points, and that's where all the black people congregate. Sure enough, our lips got numb. You see what I'm saying? So obviously, we was already predisposed to certain aspects of cocaine addiction. You see what I'm saying? Cocaine addiction, and that was just with the McDonald's. We don't know what they put this stuff in, because they target everything, but we were predisposed with cocaine addiction. So the first time, because people was like, hey, this person took crack for the first time and was hooked. I've heard stories about that. One guy, he went off one Saturday, hit the rock, called his wife back, said, I'm on crack now, I won't be seeing you no more.
Oh, wow.
And next time she saw him 10 years later, he was dead. So the point I'm trying to make here is we know that some of this stuff they already target the diet for this particular subject. I don't know why that came out and stuff, because I think this whole thing with this on the blog talk was talking about this whole melanin thing, and now we realize now why it was so devastating and why white people could get on it and get off it. Not
even get addicted.
Not even get addicted. It was like the ecstasy thing. This is just an experience. You see, so it's just amazing on how that whole thing went down. So, but I want to go into this OMEC thing. It's going to be short, and then we can go into some question and answers. And I was telling the story about how somebody mailed me this mint coat in the mail with the tag on it, brand new. Brand new back in 06. And it's ironically, when I was up in Baltimore, we met a brother that's a Native American, but what it is they had to fight to be recognized as Native Americans. Because they got something down in City Hall where they recognize all the Native Americans in the area. So this black group had to fight to be recognized as a Native American. But They won what they had to do, and they recognized. And so we was out of Botanica, and the guy was saying, look, he was like, that fur coat, man, that's the very spiritual thing. So the whole thing you remember when I think it started in the 80s with Bob Barker he was protesting. It was in the Miss America or something pageant, or Miss Universe or one of those, and he started protesting furs, and then it snowballed. Now, this is a spiritual story, because they got to the point where as they beat white people down so bad too, you don't even see white people in furs. You go to the airport, you might see an older white woman. The only people you see in furs is black people, and I think it's based on. I think it's a fear thing. They know they ain't gonna step to no sister and ask her about her fur coat. Might be a beat down. See what I'm saying? You see, or they might think, well, they don't know no better, or something. Whatever it is, you go to the airport, the only people you see in fur coats is black women. And rare, you might see a brother like this jacket here. But it's interesting here because you might see every now and then you'll see a brother with one on, and you know they're not gonna step to no brother. Then they start complimenting, oh, I like your coat. You see, like that. So, but what Native American was saying, all the shamans wore the furs. You see, they wore the furs, and that's being one with the animal. You see, and so that's what Mitchell Gibson is talking about. When you eat an animal, how does this thing go? It's like a capitalistic scale. Right. So if you eat an animal, then they say that animal spirit can incarnate as a human in the next cycle. If a bull, you see, eats the grass, then the grass can incarnate as a bull in the next cycle. Now that might seem hard to grasp, but if you understand concepts of all this is an illusion,
yes,
and appearances, the apparent world, it's the world of appearances, but it's not necessarily the actual entity or energies that's actually permeating us, and that's what we're fighting against every day, is to find out that particular part of ourselves, you see, that we can't see. So in the what they call the magical universe, all these types of things can go on. Now take for instance, what they say here is that all we are is a bunch of planets and solar systems bumping around out here that on this plane appears to be a human. So your soul has its own solar system. The problem we have is we're so locked into our personality till we can't even get to the point where as we are a solar system or a planetary system and all this cosmic stuff in which we really are, because we are trapped in our personalities. You see what I'm saying? And so in order to rise up, you got to take off layers of these personalities. These personalities. And until you get back to that cosmic substance that you really are. But too many times, too often by us in the human experience, we got locked and imprisoned into this particular personality. So now I look and I say, well, you know what? No person's behavior has anything to do with what that person really is and what spiritual path that person really is, because ultimately we're cosmic molecules.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You see, and we've been trapped in, and so the later day religions, unlike, which is piggybacking on what we were talking about before, unlike the ancient religions ultimately, the goal was to get back to that essence on what you were before you incarnated down here. The later day religions, to enslave people,
Yes.
they started focusing on the personality, moralism. Don't do this, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You see. Now, Charles Finch said something years ago, this was in the 80s. He said, the Egyptians didn't look at animals as being subordinate. They said that the animals were equal to them. And I had problems with that, because that's the ego. Until I got some cats.
Oh, yeah.
Now my cats live outside. I don't have the cats in the house. But I got some cats, and these cats went from a variation of different color cats into all black cats. So we got mostly all black cats. And then I thought about what he's saying by just looking at them, and I said, you know, these cats are the gods. These cats are the gods. I said, you know, you got the goddess Bass, Setmet, Pashet, and these particular, you know. And in Islam, they would call it the 99 attributes. You see what I'm saying? You know. And I'm looking at these cats, and it finally dawned on me after 4 years of feeding them, or 5 years of feeding them. I said, wait a minute. This cat gets 2 meals a day. And if you wanted 3, they'll be getting 3, but they're not like dogs now. Not like dogs. A dog's behavior is the same as a male's behavior. I'm not talking about male dogs, that kind of thing. I'm not talking about that. But there's the cats, you think female. And dogs, you think male. Now the dogs, they will eat everything you put out there in one setting. Mm-hmm. And as long as you put it out there, them dogs will eat it.
Keep eating.
The cats, you know, they'll eat, then they'll get full, and then they'll eat again. So they average about 2 meals a day. You know, when we first got, we was getting them, just feeding them all times of night and stuff like that. And the food, and the possums and all that was coming and eating the food. You see, so you tell I'm down south. I don't know if you all even see possums up here. Okay, so, and after about 4 years of eating, these cats eating, I said, you know what, these are the gods. I said, we feed them twice a day. Only for the sake of their cats. They don't do no work. We can't say they can train a CNI dog. They got dogs pulling carts. They got dogs pulling sleds. They got police dogs sniffing out dope. You see, but when it comes to a cat is like a black person said, when I feel like it.
Right.
Especially after we got out of slavery, look. When I feel like it. You know, I might defy you in what you're saying, just a simple fact that based on how I feel today.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? You know, a guy said, you know, I go to work, go on a break. He said, I'm going back to the work off the break. He said, wait a minute, I'm going to take 2 breaks. Nigga said, I'm going to take me another break. These cats, I'm looking, I said, oh my God, these are the gods. They lay around and we feed them and they run us. Only for the sake of being cats. Nothing else. It's not like they got an attribute. You see what I'm saying? And these are outside cats. So we don't touch them. See, if you get a cat and you touch them and start rubbing them, you'll domesticate them. And they won't be able to live outside anymore. So you don't touch them, you just let them be. You see, you let them be. But the only thing that's domesticated about them is they got their 3 hearts in a cot. You see what I'm saying? But the point about it, I'm looking, oh, I get it now. These are the deities. These are the deities, and these deities are higher than the deities we worship. Because when we worship the deities we worship, we want something from them. We don't want nothing from them cats, but they do provide a service. We haven't seen a rat, a mouse since '06. You see, and what I was saying was that was the essence on what Charles French was saying about we are one with the animals. We didn't look at ourselves as being above. And in so many words, if we're in a universe that contains all of this stuff, you see, it's an ecological system. We just have certain things that we do. And so we might say we are superior, but we're not superior for the simple fact what we're supposed to be doing, we're not even doing. We don't even live up to the potential.
Exactly.
You see, we got to have a plan B. Because whatever you was going to be when you was a child, you are not that now. What you thought you was going to be as a child, you ain't that now. You see what I'm saying? You got to have a plan B. So my point here is we function the least of the entire ecological nature. Everything else fulfills its purpose. Here go again, except that mysterious cat. We still trying to find out what the hell he is for.
Exactly.
And that's why the Egyptians used to feed them and domesticate them. You see, and they trace the origin based on DNA. They trace the origins of all domesticated cats back to Kemet. You see what I'm saying? So it's a mysterious. It's a mysterious thing. And then it gets to the point that they communicate. Now, our cats is a little. Our cats will start to communicate when they know the food, that bag of Friskies, what's that other one?
Kibbles and bits or something.
No, the other's another one.
Marina,
whatever the thing is. When that bag get low, they'll start communicating. They will send signals to Linda. Like, hey, look now, hey. But how would they know that the bag is getting low? The bag is inside of the house.
Sure.
They know, that means that they are on a higher plane.
Right.
They are on a higher plane.
Right.
So when that food is getting low, they start signaling. Now, it's interesting here, because Linda lived in D.C. So So she moved in with her sister before she came to Atlanta. And so what she did, she moved in with her sister. The sister had a little dog that was old. So she said, well, I'm gonna move. She said, well, the sister said, well, you can come in and you can take care of the dog, because I work at a, you know, I work a certain hours and this dog needs care. She said, you can take care of the dog, you know, try to help me out. The dog came to her and said, look, listen to me good. See, it's a whole communication. Remember the guy that had the tigers and the lions and all that shit?
Right.
Up here, and he said they could talk to him?
Right.
So that whole Beastmaster thing is real. Dog came to Linda and said, look, this the deal. You are here because of me. Take care of me. She said, don't be caught, because when I leave, you better have plans to be someplace else. Because after I leave, your sister ain't having it. You see. She said, so, you know, whatever the deal here is, and I know the sister asked you to come in and help, because you were staying someplace else. But you either better go back there or you better go someplace else. Because you are here because of me, and when I leave in a couple of months, you see what I'm saying, you better make the way to have your path. You see what I'm saying, or whatever the deal was.
Right.
And so and it was spiritual because she moved to Atlanta with me. But the key was the dog talked to her and told her what time it was. So now we got these cats, and the cats, they don't really communicate. Oh yeah, they do. Sometimes you'll hear something like, look out the door. And you look out the door and they standing there ready to get fed. So that's the first level of communication. That, and then you might ask yourself, how did the Africans live with them lions,
Right.
and all them dangerous animals, and never was prey?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? That's because they had a communication. You see, they had a communication. So we are the true beast masters. You see, and the PBS used to run that damn show every month for years. You know, so, but the key here is not PBS, TBS, Turner Broadcasting. But the key here is this is also showing this whole concept that if you're looking at us being a group of molecules or a group of your soul as a solar system, you see, then you'll find out that anything is possible. And like Mitchell Gibson says, oh yeah, Harry Potter is a true entity now. You see. Now if you don't know anything about magic, first of all, for the person to perceive and to conceive the concept of Harry Potter was probably a transmission in the first place. It was a channel.
Right.
So that it meant that it was an archetype that existed outside of the physical. Then when they made it into a physical book and then the physical movie, it enhanced it. Give me some tissue or something when they get it. Oh, now this ain't gonna work right here. That's a Kleenex towel. I need something to wipe with. Yeah, this could go for the snot, but no, that ain't gonna do it either. Buffalo wings. You get some, either a towel or a paper napkin. Solid. You get some solid or something else. But anyway,
you get a board to write with, a whiteboard?
No, I need some tissue. A napkin.
There's tissue right there. No, okay.
No, here's something a little.
That's what I'm thinking. That's well. I guess this will work for
Yeah.
now. Anyway, where was I?
About the communication with the lions.
Yeah, and so the concept here now is we're supposed to be getting back to that cosmic being of what we are, which is actually a solar system. You say, well, how can one soul be a solar? Well, you got 160 chakras.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You know, you got cells, you got all this type of stuff, and that itself is actually a microcosm of the Milky Way, because that's the galaxy we live in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the concept here is getting back to that, but we still trying to act human, and trying to act human. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about here. I know some people that used to make all kind of money in the 80s and in the early 90s. And then they went through a void. Something shifted. Maybe something was activated in them. Okay? So as a result, the methodology that they used to use in the 80s is a dimension away. They have gone to a whole nother cycle. You see what I'm saying? Or gone through a whole nother cycle, and all of a sudden they can't make no money. Because they have acclimated themselves into the cycle that they are in. And what is needed, they need to find out what it is that's applying to the energy, you see what I'm saying, that will be conducive for me in this particular cycle. You see? So it's the same thing with outmoded knowledge. We got people, you first come in, you learn the history. You see what I'm saying?